Welcome back to the Relationship Mentors podcast. This week we're going to have a catch up from the week just gone and also talk into 5 non-negotiables that you need in your relationship. These are tangible things that you can implement in your relationship this week. So let's get into it. Mia Cherry, what was your week like?
Hello. So this week we've honestly had such a great week. Work has been, in past episodes we've spoken about really focusing on work and getting clear on the direction of work. I just feel so super clear on the direction we're going, and my task day today that we've even started incorporating actually going on day adventures and going to Brisbane, going to the Sunshine Coast. And so this week has been just great with getting clear on that. We've been having a lot of productive team meetings and then seeing what we're needing on that day. So okay, if we've worked for 9 hours, okay, what I would need right now is to go to the beach, be in nature and get to spend time with you and actually have a relationship chat with my boyfriend rather than business partner. So I feel like we've done really well with that this week.
It's such a thing when you work for yourself. It's so normal to feel guilt for putting your laptop away before 8 o'clock at night. Like even last night, I put the laptop away, I think it was like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And I was like, no more work, I'm not going to feel guilty, I'm just going to switch this off. I had some ice cream and what did we do? I read a book for a bit. You were doing some shopping.
Online shopping, which is good.
Yeah, so it's so easy to fall into that habit of consistently working till late at night and then not really connecting properly. But I feel like we've been really good at having spontaneous dates out all the time, having more social interactions. Just going on little adventures. And my win for the week was I went up to the Sunshine Coast and caught up with a bunch of mates. And it was the first time I've really done that in a while, like catching up with a group of lads, having such a laugh, like not caring about business or personal development or speaking the right language. It's just like going up there, having a laugh, taking the piss out of each other, going out for dinner. And we felt like on such a high. It was weird. We were all sat around the table at dinner and we just feel like we're in a trance. Like it feels like we're in hypnosis of everyone giggling. It's like we were high. We weren't high. We were just eating pizza, like laughing about funny stories from the past and really connecting and forgetting everything else existed. So that was a huge win for me because I haven't done that in a while. So that was really, really needed.
Yeah, I think that's so great. Especially like Charlie is someone that is so dedicated and so disciplined and is so hardworking and hard on himself to improve and always be better. So it was when your mates called you to say like, hey, come to the Sunshine Coast for a couple of days. It's like, hell yeah, that sounds like so much fun. Like this is something that you're going to remember of like, why not take the most of those opportunities?
Yeah.
So that was really nice. I totally forgot that happened.
Yeah.
As well as...
And people in businesses that are listening to this maybe or working really hard in their career, it's like, remember what you do, why you're doing it all anyway. Like you're doing it for the freedom, the enjoyment. Like don't forget to have fun along the journey. Add novelty in your day-to-day life. Go and do things randomly. You don't always have to beat yourself up for not working hard enough. You can go and enjoy yourself. That was a big thing for me. Like I realized we did breath work and meditation at the sunny coast, and something that dropped in was like I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to let myself off the hook. I'm allowed to enjoy myself and not have this almost toxic drive to constantly do work. So that was a beautiful drop in.
That is so nice. And then on top of that as well, I want to talk about last night, your little trip.
What did we do last night?
So Charlie, like I said, is so healthy, is so disciplined, really looks after himself and everything like that. So we went for a beach walk, I think. And she's like, oh, I really am craving some ice cream. I'm like, yeah, babe, just like go get some ice cream. Like you deserve it. You eat so clean all the time. You never eat ice cream. And go to the shops to get ice cream when we get back because we go for a walk without any phones or anything like that. So when we came back, we were both doing work, and then he kept talking about it. I'm like, yeah, you deserve it. Go, like, just go to the shops. I'm not going to come with you because I'm online shopping. But just go to the shops and get your ice cream. And then, anyway, he goes away, comes back, and this guy, just like, I felt like I left my boyfriend just go to the shops by himself, and he's like, oh my god, ice cream, and just picked up everything and kind of came home.
Yeah, I used to be like, we're children with adult money now. I mean, no one watching us. So when we go to the shops, like, we can buy whatever we want. Like, this is crazy. How is nobody watching us?
Yeah, it's like I thought Charlie was gonna come home with like this small, like the small tub of ice cream that's like maybe sorbet or something like that. Something that is still really healthy because you are just naturally like to eat healthy. And then you come home with like drumstick chocolates, and then you had another tub of chocolate and another tub of chocolate.
Yeah.
And you're like, look at all this
I
chocolate.
had 2 tubs of two tubs of ice cream that was dairy free, which was really thoughtful for you. And then I had like the Magnums on sticks, like a box of 4 of those. Oh, what a time out.
I know, and something that made me feel so loved in that moment was when I wasn't expecting any, like you to buy me anything at all, let alone ice cream, let alone he bought me cookies and cream ice cream, which I haven't had cookies and cream ice cream for about like 7 years or more. It's like, if you don't know, I am gluten free and dairy free, than celiac, so I haven't. All cookies and cream ice cream has gluten cookies, and the fact that Charlie, I don't think you intentionally did this, however, happened to find gluten-free, dairy-free ice cream, cookie and cream ice cream, like that just made my day. I was eating that this morning at lunch. It was so nice.
Last night when I was buying ice cream, it's so funny that everyone, there's a social awkwardness. Like if you walk into wherever you're from, if you're from the UK, you walk into Tesco's or Co-op, or in Australia, walk into Woolies or Coles, you go to the freezer section, you go to where all the ice cream is, and there's other people lingering around the ice cream section, and everyone feels really naughty for looking. Everyone's like, I know I shouldn't be here, like I feel a little bit of guilt, I feel a little bit of shame, like this is naughty. And then they're pretending to look at the frozen berries or the frozen vegetables. So it's so funny, that social moment of all of us around the ice cream, like pretending not to look at the ice cream.
It's like 8:30 at night.
Everyone's doing their ice cream run. It's like 8 o'clock at night.
That's so funny. Okay, so those were our wins and like great takeaways from the week. What would you say was a challenge from this week or a learning lesson that you've had this week?
I felt a lot of emotion come up this week. It felt like, you know, when emotions are just under the surface and anything sets it off. My sister, so I'm out in Australia, and my sister is also out in Australia. She's been here like 10 years. I've only been here 4 years. And we were never living together, but she was always in the country, so I always felt like she was just there. Like energetically, I could feel like she was pretty close. But then we took her to the airport on Sunday, and she went home, so she's moving back to the UK. So I'm the only sibling left in Australia now, which I thought it was fine. But I've had a lot of emotion come up this week, and I'm guessing it's to do with that. Like anything sets, like random things set me off. I'll be listening to like Adele driving to the gym crying. I'll be like, why am I so emotional?
Go for a walk to the beach and come back, and then you come back and I'm just like, haven't looked at you yet, but I'm chatting to you. And then I look at you like, oh, are you okay?
And I love it. I love being able to tap into my emotions so much and like be emotional. And I used to label it as a problem of like, if I felt like I needed to cry, it's like, oh, there's something wrong with me, or like, why am I crying? That's stupid, that's dumb. But like, you get to enjoy it, like you get to enjoy all of it. So it's definitely been a challenge. I don't know, yeah, I've been over emotional this week. I
wouldn't say over. Okay, I'm not gonna get into that one. But it's like, hey, it's so important for you to be able to express all of your human emotions. And it was something I was thinking about yesterday. It's like being able to feel sad and to cry and to feel angry and to feel happy and to feel joyful is such a blessing that we should always embrace and appreciate so much. It's like there are people out there that are pushing their feelings down, all their sadness, that they just become numb, that they're tuning out all of their emotions, that they're just numbing their life. Like if you don't have emotions behind what you're doing and you're just numbing yourself, you're not living to the full potential that life can give. Just like getting to be sad gets to be so fun. Like it just is so releasing. You get to bring up all the sadness and
move through it all.
Yeah, move through it. Feel that joy of releasing it and moving through.
Exactly. And I was speaking to a client yesterday, and she went through a breakup, and then she doesn't want to say anything bad about her ex. Like super nice. Doesn't want to say a bad word. Holds everyone to the highest standard. Like, I love everyone. I'm like, that's great. And she was pushing down the anger she felt towards her ex and the frustration, the agitation. I'm like, when you push that down and suppress that emotion, it comes out in other areas of your life. So if you feel it coming up, give yourself, like, let yourself fully feel that emotion. If you're angry at your ex, if you're angry at someone, fully feel that and then bring it back again. Like, being able to move through all these emotions is such a blessing. So never suppress something that's coming up and know that you can move through it. Like, no emotion's negative. You just get to move through more.
Yeah, I love that.
Beautiful. So let's get into this week's thing. So 5 relationship non-negotiables in your relationship. These are tangible things. Like, I really wanted to write tangible things. A lot of the time it can be like, respect your partner, have gratitude, have this emotion. And a lot of the time it could be non-tangible, like it can just be passing things. But with these 5 things, you can actually implement them in your relationship every single week, and it'll transform your relationship. And number 1 is have sex minimum once per week.
So at the beginning of the relationship, it is sometimes it's so exciting. There's so much sexual chemistry
So
that
easy.
yeah, it's so easy to get into bed together more than once a week, or at least once a week. Then as time goes on, then 6 months down the track, a year down the track, 5 years, 10 years down the track, it is so easy just for the habit of sex to fall out of the relationship. Like, it's so easy just not to have sex, and sometimes it just feels like more work to have sex. And the most important thing to remember is the more sex you have, the more that you would want sex. And that's so important that you are having that sexual intimacy with your partner, because it creates such a spiritual bond and such a stronger bond together than you do have with like your girlfriends and your other friends that you have. Like, the sexual chemistry and the sexual bond that you and your partner have together is so...
It's like
so
sacred. It's
Yeah.
what you and your partner have together. Like, it's easy for me to talk about my emotions with other people, to have intellectual intimacy with other people. But then, like, that physical intimacy and that sexual intimacy, like, that's something that's sacred between us. And not celebrating that in your relationship can really feel... can really easily turn into just a friendship. Like, the amount of people I talk to where their relationships turn into roommates, where they just sleep in the same bed together, they live in the same house, they spend a lot of time in passing with each other, but they're not really connected. It's so common.
And the thing is, like, there is so much passion and excitement and fun you get to have in the bedroom together. It's like just having those intimate moments together. It brings a different, like, getting to see your partner on a different level, and just reminds you that it can be playful, it can be fun, just outside of the mundane of, oh, I need to wash up, we should go grocery shopping, I need to do this, I need to do that for work, XYZ. It's a moment that you get to both only share with each other and both be completely present in the moment together. And that's something that you don't get to share with everyone else.
And a good tip with sex and intimacy in your relationship is, so many people treat it like an on-off switch. It's like, when we're having sex, we're having sex. When we're not, it doesn't get spoken about. Like, sex only exists in the bedroom for those 10 minutes a week or 10 minutes a month. But treat sex like something that gets topped up in your relationship. Like, throughout the day, you can talk about it, talk about your best moments, talking about what makes you feel loved. Like, really top up that intimacy every single day, rather than ignoring your partner, treating her like a friend, treating her like it's a platonic relationship, and then expecting to jump into bed with her. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, top up the sex, top up the intimacy every single day, and it becomes so much easier to jump into bed together.
Exactly. And like we've spoken about on other episodes and on our Instagram a lot, of like the different levels of intimacy to make sure that you're fulfilling throughout the day. But the biggest thing, like, you can watch like other episodes or our trainings on different levels of intimacy, but the biggest thing I want to say in this moment is, don't forget to flirt with your partner. It's like something's like, we used to only flirt when you're wanting to, when you like someone or you want to want to go on a first date together, let alone, or like continue the dating to get into a relationship together. Yeah, flirting is so fun. Like, flirt with your partner. Like, I flirt with Charles, like we flirt back and forth all the time together, because it gets to be fun, it gets to be enjoyable, and it's like flirting gets to be so much fun because it's your own little playfulness. Everyone flirts differently, everyone plays differently. So
sex is such a downstream like test for how your relationship's doing, like the quality and the quantity of it. A lot of the time, if people aren't having sex, the problem is way upriver. The problem is maybe you have anger and resentment under the surface that you haven't dealt with yet. Maybe you feel an unfair exchange in your relationship where you're doing more than your partner, and then you hold that against him or you hold that against her. And maybe you've got external stress from your job, from your finances, from the kids that maybe you haven't learned to deal with yet. Like, there's so many things that affect the sex in your relationship. The sex is literally the tip of the iceberg. There is 1,000 different things that could cause you both not to have sex. And it's really about identifying those things, working through those things. Can you work through conflict together? Can you be happy in yourself? Can you go to the gym? Can you have a good social circle around you? Then that's the thing that really leads to better sex.
Yeah, 100%. And something that we have seen a lot of as well. It's like some couples only have sex once every 2 weeks, once a month. Sometimes they go 3 months. Even couples that are young and you would think that they're having sex all the time. Some of them haven't had sex in like 4 months together. Even that you wouldn't know that from the outside, right?
Like a young, good-looking couple.
Yeah, like both fit, both healthy. Sometimes they haven't slept together in months and months and months. And that does put a strain on the relationship because, like you just mentioned, like there's other things that are happening in that relationship or in your life that if you're not addressing is leading you not to have sex or not having good quality sex. And something that we do hear a lot of as well is, I just don't have time. We both, like, I work throughout the day, he works at night times, like it's just, we're not finding the time to do it. The thing is, there's at least 30 minutes, an hour that you guys can look at your schedules and book in sex. Like,
Work on any calendar.
Yeah, really book it into your calendar. Sex isn't something that you can just, like, sex is something that does come just in the moment, but it's also something that you can book into your calendar. And it's like, okay, I know this is so important for us, and like I love you so much, I want to stay connected, and we can connect on a deeper level. And then when it comes to that time, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, okay, I know later on tonight we're going to be doing the deed. So throughout the day, you can start
turning yourself on.
Yeah, I was going to say start turning yourself on, and then I just went to like other things. But I just mean like mentally, of just like making sure. A lot of women get into their head about it sometimes. So it's like, if you are a woman, you know, when you finish work at 5 o'clock, okay, you know that 5 o'clock you're leaving everything work-wise to do at work. You're coming home with an open mind, you're not worrying about work, and you're just fully focused on being in the moment there with your partner. Then you can set up the moment within that time.
Yeah, not putting pressure on it either. It's
Yeah.
like when you have a time, when you block out time, like, cool, there's an hour here for us to spend together. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Like, top up the intimacy, have a massage, like, give her a massage, hold hands, cuddle, kiss. Like, the amount of couples that don't even kiss anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they live together, they don't even kiss, they don't make out, they haven't got
Even
any
hug each
passion
other.
or, not even like deeply hugging each other. It's like they say goodbye, peck each other on the lips, and walk out. The amount of couples that would just do that, no wonder they can't have sex. So it's like top up the romance, top up the passion in your relationship.
Like, even like how we're sitting home, like sitting right now, it's like come and sit with your partner, have your legs touching, like touch their arm, touch their hand, and then like just have a conversation, like getting to know each other in depth, emotionally first, so then you can get to know each other again physically together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part. Like, the second non-negotiable in your relationship would be 30 minutes of chatting every day. Like, catch up on your day together every single day. Spend time together. I saw this thing with Jordan Peterson. He said, the main thing to keep your relationship growing together is spending time together and actually chatting. It doesn't have to be this massive productive conversation. Just catch up on life. See what's going on in the other person's head. That's how you really stay connected in your relationship. And that's how you build up the intimacy. Like, you stay connected, you stay in the other person's life. You really feel for the other person. You're connected on an emotional level. Then it's so much easier to get into bed together. So planning that time every single day where it's quality time over quantity of time. Like, we can easily spend 8 hours in the same house together every single day. But sometimes we can have 0 minutes of quality time together because we're just working. So like, planning those quality times is so important.
100%. And quality time can look different every single day together, and it can look different to every single couple. Sometimes quality time is like, hey, I'm going to cook dinner. Did you want to cook with me, or did you want to sit? Some people I know, they like to just cook themselves, but have someone sitting there so they can still chat to their partner as they're cooking. It's like sometimes that is the intimate, emotional conversation that they're having, and they sit down and eat dinner together. Then through that time, that is half an hour chatting to them.
You have to be intentional with your time. Like, in 12 hours time, it's going to be 12 hours time. In a week's time, it's going to be a week's time. Like, time does not stop. Time keeps going. And it's your mission to put things in your time that are intentional. Intentionally put things in your time that improve your relationship, improve your health, improve your finances, improve your social circle. Because time happens anyway, and it's up to you to put those things in place. So think about it in your day-to-day life, because these are really tangible things that we want you to put in your relationship. It's like, when could you spend 30 minutes chatting to your partner every night? Can there be a rule where you put your phones down at 8 o'clock, and then from 8 o'clock until bedtime, that's your connection time? No electronics, no just sitting down watching Netflix together, because that's the lowest level of intimacy you can have between you and your partner, just brain dead and watching a movie together. Like, it's nice sometimes, but it's really important to actually chat and catch up with your partner as well. So when in your day could you have that time? Is it a morning walk? If you both work from home, could you go for a lunchtime walk? Or is it the evening time where you both put your phones down at 8 o'clock?
I love that a lot, how you've explained that. It's like something that Charlie and I do, which we have spoken about, is like if we worked an 8-hour, 9-hour day in the house and we just work in separate rooms, or we've seen each other but it's just in passing as we're walking to different rooms, something that we always do initiate is going out in nature together. Because most of the time I haven't gone outside enough or been in the sun enough that day. And so it's getting nature, sunlight, but we're also connecting. So we'll go to the beach, like just walk around the block to the beach and back, like with no phones, no other distractions, just being in the moment and catching him up with what I've done or what my thoughts are that I've had throughout that day and vice versa.
The day.
The day. Aussie accent coming out. So it was like, could you imagine how much stronger your relationship would be and how much more connected you would be and feel with your partner by having a 30-minute conversation with them every single day? It's like you would just feel so much more in love because you actually get to know them again. Like, there's so many thoughts that you have every single day. Every single day you are growing and evolving. Even if you're not doing a course or doing a training, you are still growing and developing your mind and your opinion and your values and your views on life. So getting to actually be able to share those thoughts and ideas with your partner helps you both grow together.
Growing apart is the leading cause of breakup, right?
Yeah.
You change every day. Think of the person you were 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Completely different, right? And the person you're going to be in 6 months' time, a year's time, 5 years' time, is going to be completely different from the person you are now. And it's so important that you and your partner actually grow together by staying connected and having these conversations. So, yeah, the conversation starters. We'll pop a link in the show notes below, and it's a guide with 33 questions, like conversation starters. Really, really important. If you want to start the conversations easily with your partner and really get into the swing of this, download that guide. It's completely free, and you'll have 33 questions to really develop your intimacy.
Excellent.
Amazing. So have sex at least once per week. So important, and really building that up. 30 minutes of chatting every single day. Then the third one is a strategy to reconnect after conflict.
I'll let you dive into that one first. I thought we were doing a different point.
Oh, you went to that one?
Yeah.
So conflict is such a great opportunity in your relationship, and a lot of people don't know how to come together after it, or they think an argument is bad. I was talking to a client and he said, my partner and I argued at least once every 2 weeks. I was like, that is so good, like once every 2 weeks to have a disagreement. That is so rare, that's not very common whatsoever. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, me and I disagree like every other day. Oh yeah, probably every day we have a slight disagreement on something. And that's so positive, because we don't avoid conflict, we don't shut down, we address every conflict whenever something's not sitting right with us. We address it straight away. We tell the other person, because we know that we can learn through that conflict so fast and come out the other side of it even stronger. But when people don't know how to grow through conflict, they'll avoid the conflict and it'll build up under the surface because they won't be speaking their annoyances, what's true for them. And after a while, it'll blow up into this big argument, which is what happens once every 2 weeks, right? But if you actually told your partner what was on your mind every single day, or what wasn't sitting right with you, it wouldn't blow up into this big shitty thing.
100%. And within arguments and within conflict itself, there are so many different dynamics at play. Like within an argument and conflict, I will bring in so many different dynamics into that conflict, and Charlie will also bring in, and your partner will also bring in different dynamics into the conflict itself. So if you are unaware of what dynamics you're bringing into the relationship and the dynamics that your partner is bringing into the relationship and the power play that's happening within that conflict, it can become this massive thing that it didn't need to be, become a lot more explosive and a lot more harsh and a lot more cruel than it actually needed to be if you just knew what you were bringing in and were clear on specifically what that is. It just wouldn't be that big. So it's like we have conflicts, I would just say every day. There's like this.
There's something every day.
Yeah, there's like something every day. Today it was like you were driving really.
I was driving too erratically.
Yeah, I was just like, calm down, we are not in a rush. So yeah, it's like something that we just know. It's like I just know I am comfortable enough with who I am, and knowing that Charlie is receptive enough in a conflict that I know that I can be honest and truthful within that moment. And the moment something annoys me, I know that I can bring it up, because I know that I'm not coming in and attacking him, being like, you're doing this and you're doing that and you're making me feel like that. It's not that at all. But you hear that type of language so much in conflict. However, that is such a negative trait, if I'm being honest. It's such a negative and toxic trait for you to have within a relationship. And if you are saying things like that, it's because you haven't done enough work of self-awareness or even learned the tools on how to have effective conflict and conversations with your partner and with other people.
There is so much in this, hey?
So much to unpack.
We created a whole program on this, so there's a lot to unpack here. And yeah, the way you understand your own needs and then the way you communicate them to your partner is so important. Like, a lot of women come to me and they can't express themselves to their partner because their partner shuts down or their partner gets defensive, he gets annoyed, he does this, he does that. It's like, have you ever learned how men communicate? What men need in a relationship? How to give feedback? Because if you start criticizing your partner, if you start coming across with a tone of blame, then of course your partner's going to shut down. Of course he's going to get defensive. He doesn't want to feel under attack. So can you actually communicate in a way that he wants to receive it? And this is the thing with a strategy to reconnect after conflict. It's like being able to communicate in a way that grows the relationship rather than looks for a winner. So if you're constantly looking for a winner in your relationship's going to lose either way, if you win or lose. So it's like, swallow your pride, swallow your ego, do what's best for the relationship every single time. And the strategy to come together, let's talk onto that. So
just before we move into that, something that you just said, that when you were saying like swallow your pride and do what's best for the relationship, I know that some people could hear that and be like, okay,
fuck that.
Okay, I was going the opposite way, or like potentially even men hearing it, it's like, okay, I won't say anything, I'll just like let her explode, and then I won't say anything, and then I'm doing what's best for the relationship. But if you are avoiding the conflict itself, you are adding to that conflict by you not saying anything. And we dive into that and explain that in more depth in our course. However, just to say, if you aren't verbally saying anything in the conflict, you are still almost just as bad as what's happening. Like, you are adding fuel to that fire, and you're not doing what's actually best for the relationship in the long term.
Best for relationship is actually getting to the bottom of the conflict so it doesn't come up again in the future. What's best for the relationship isn't ignoring it so that you stop arguing. It's getting to the bottom of the argument so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly. And it's like, if your partner, we're just going to do an example of a lady coming home to her man, and she's getting angry at him for who knows what, and he could just be sitting there and not saying anything, and she's saying, you've done this and you've done that, and I feel like this, and I don't feel like I'm being heard or seen or validated. And if he's doesn't say anything. It's like, okay, maybe I'll do better. It's like, has that man actually heard what's happening? Why isn't she feeling heard? Why specifically isn't she feeling seen? What specifically is a trait that you're doing that's telling her subconsciously that there's not a love there in that moment? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and even her in that moment, she could be going at him for not doing the dishes, not cleaning the house, not putting the washing out, not making the bed. Where under that, what she actually feels is an unfair exchange in our relationship, an unfair exchange with the household chores and how much she's doing and he's not doing enough. So there's this undercurrent, like what the argument is about is never what the argument is actually about. There's always a deeper reason for that argument. So it's like, can you have the awareness to spot, am I angry at him for not putting the washing away? Or am I actually annoyed because you feel an unfair exchange in this relationship? So that's a huge part, having the awareness when you approach your partner.
Exactly. And in that example, it can be both ways. It can be the man feeling like that and the woman not adding to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one is planning date nights. This is a non-negotiable in your relationship. Having something to look forward to. So important. And I feel like it's something that we struggle with the most. Like this is something on the list that we struggle with the most because we do spontaneous things, we hang out all the time. Actually planning in date nights is something we don't do enough.
Yeah, it's something that is like we do spend a lot of time together. We see each other all the time. And we have little moments together, like going to the beach and going and playing board games outside and things like that. Something that we have done well the last couple of weeks is going to the Sunshine Coast, and we've gone to Brisbane twice and things like that. However, they weren't initial planned date night.
They just happened.
We were going to those places for other reasons, and we just happened to be like, okay, let's go earlier, like a couple hours earlier, and that way we can go to a cafe and have like breakfast together and things like that. So something that I have found works really well for Charlie and I, since we like I can't really see us going out for dinner one-on-one or like every single week. I just don't think that's really our style.
No.
Like it's just not something that I feel like I would enjoy all the time. I love going out for dinner, but not every single week. So something that I think works really well for Charlie and I is actually just putting the word date in front of whatever we're doing. It's like if we are already going to go to the beach and have dinner there and play a board game, sometimes
that's just normal.
Yeah,
we
it's
just
like
do it.
we do that. Like I would say we do that like 4 nights a week. We go out and we play board game and we dinner out at the
Somewhere,
beach.
yeah.
And so just by saying like, hey, tonight let's have a date down at the beach. I'll cook dinner, we'll put it in a container, and we'll go down to the beach and have a date. It's like it's something that we already do, but putting the word date in front of it
Adds that magic.
it adds that magic and adds that passion. But it actually just sets the intention of like, hey, like I love you so much. Let's actually have a date and be in the moment and be even more present. And we are normally like that anyway. I feel like we are just really good at setting the frame for whatever we're about to do together. So within your relationship, what are you currently doing that you could actually turn into a date? Like, are you already going to the beach on the weekend and spending, like we have some couples that work all week and then one day a week they'll, like on Sunday, we'll go to the beach for a couple of hours. Why don't you turn that into a date day and make it that little bit extra special by let's get some, like cut up a fruit salad and we go down and just have a relationship check-in, which we'll get into in a second, or just have a deeper conversation and then go for a beach swim. It's like little cute moments like that. And on top of that as well, dates don't only have to be at nighttime. It's just have fun moments together that are scheduled that you label it as a date.
It's like intentional time together.
Exactly.
And we can really take it for granted. We spend a lot of time together, we do all this random stuff together, and we just do it. And then if we call it a date, it's like, oh, we're on a date, this feels nice. It's like, I don't know, it's just a different vibe to it, hey? And a lot of couples, I recognise, do work separate from each other all day. They've got activities on at night, they want to go to the gym, they want to do meal prep, they want to make sure they're keeping up with their social interactions, their family interactions. They've got a lot of things happening. So if you're more time poor within your relationship of not having all this time spent together, it's even more important to plan these date nights in. Every single week, have something to look forward to with your partner. It's so, so important. If you're just going into every single week, not knowing what the plans are, not having anything to look forward to, you're just stepping into this uncertainty of whatever the week happens, it happens. Remember, a week from now, it's going to be a week from now. And it's up to you to intentionally put a date night into your week. Otherwise, time's just going to pass. Another week's going to go. You're going to feel disconnected. Another week's going to go. And you didn't make time for each other. You didn't have the intimacy. You didn't have the sex. You didn't have the date night. So it's up to you to intentionally put these things into your relationship. And the last thing we want to touch on is a relationship check-in. This is number 5.
Okay, so I feel like this is something that we have mentioned a little bit of before.
Definitely.
However, I will never express more how important a relationship check-in is to do every single week. Like some couples you can hear online that do it every fortnight, once a month. However, every single week is
It's like relationship hygiene.
It really is. It's like sometimes like Charlie and I, we're relationship coaches. We have such a great relationship and we know all the dynamics and we know we do all the things, right? All the things that we've just mentioned. However, even doing a relationship check-in, sometimes I'm like, oh, like I know that you're good. We've caught up every day. Like, you know that I'm good. It's fine. And then sometimes when we actually do sit down and say, okay, we'll only take like 10 minutes sometime. We know that it's the best for the health of our relationship in the long run. And then by asking these specific questions, I actually uncover more things that I didn't know before. Like Charlie tells me things that he's really loved that I've done for him this week, the things that made him feel loved and things that made him feel appreciated. And then I was like, wow, that's so good to know, because in the moment wasn't aware of that. Because in the moment it was just happening and just happened from my point of view. But from your point of view, you could have really seen that as, wow, when you did this, it made me feel loved. When you did this, it made me feel appreciated.
Yeah, we've mentioned this so many times, and we're going to keep mentioning it because it doesn't happen in coached a lot of relationships, and every relationship struggles to keep this going. That I've realized, like even some weeks we're like, oh fuck, we didn't do the relationship check-in. Like let's do that because it's important. And every single week, like, oh, so glad we did that, because we can feel like we're totally fine, we've had a great week, and then we go through the relationship check-in and it's like, oh wow, there's all these improvement points that we can improve on. And it's no surprise, like if someone's got a great relationship, it's because they've put effort into that relationship to learn all these things, to actually make sure they're having a relationship check-in every single week. And what that is basically is a 30 to 60 minute slot in your calendar every single week where you can sit down with your partner and go through a set of questions to really check in what happened last week, how did we get on, and then what's happening for the week ahead. So you really learn from the week just gone of what made them feel loved, what made them feel supported, and then what's going to happen this week. What are your goals? How can I support you in that? Is there anything I can do to make you feel more loved? Like there's always questions that you can set out with your partner so you can check in every single week and you know where you're at, right? The standard doesn't drop.
Exactly. And it's such a thing that this relationship check-in is going to help your relationship run so much smoother for the week ahead. The level of conflicts that you'll have will drop massively because simply of just doing a relationship check-in once a week. Like I said before, Charlie and I have a conflict probably every day, but the height of our conflict is so tiny. Like the thing in the car, it's like, okay, what's happening? Slow that down. Like, what are you trying to do? And then it's such a small, like maybe 1 or 2 sentences back, and then we can move through it faster, right? So it's also something that I like to view it as, if you have a car, you would go in and get it serviced every 3 months when it hits the next mile or whatever it is. It's like you do that to make sure that you're maintaining the health of the car and the engine and the oil, that everything's running smoothly, so you have a great operating car that's getting you from A to B, that your car is all healthy and in one piece and working extremely well. That's the same way that I view a relationship check-in. You're doing this once a week to maintain the health and the fulfillment of the relationship.
And setting the expectation is so important. A lot of people have covert contracts, which is an unwritten expectation in their head with someone else, but they've not told that other person. And it can come to the end of the week and the woman could be like, you didn't spend any time with me this week, you didn't take me on a date night. You didn't do this. You didn't wash up. You didn't do X, Y, Z. You went out with the boys and you didn't tell me you went out with the boys. You've made no time for me this week. Like, how relatable does that sound? But if you had a relationship check-in and be like, what's happening this week? Oh, I'm going out with the boys on Friday night. We're going to go watch the footy. And then Sunday morning, I'm meeting up with my mum. It's like, cool. I know that's happening now. That's super, super easy. I know what to expect from that week. And then you can say, I'd love if we spent time together. What's your Thursday night like? Oh, my Thursday night's free. Cool, let's do this date. So when you can set the expectation every single week of what's happening for the week that's coming up, it makes it so much easier and so much less conflicts come up.
Yeah, that's so great.
It's really the backbone of your relationship, a check-in. So we went over 5 relationship non-negotiables that you can implement in your relationship this week. Like, these aren't airy-fairy things. These are things you can implement in your relationship. Number 1 is have sex minimum once per week. If you can have it every day, if you can have it every other day, even better. Minimum once per week. 30 minutes of chatting every single day. So catch up with your partner, talk about the random things, keep each other in each other's lives, right? Strategies to reconnect after conflict, learning how to move through conflict and grow through it. And then planning date nights, having something to look forward to. And then lastly, a relationship check-in, which is a backbone of your relationship. Make sure you get those 5 things implemented into your relationship. So, so important.
Yeah, that's great.
Amazing. So this week, Mia Cherry, what are you looking forward to? What's happening this week?
This is our first weekend back at home that I'm not going anywhere. Like, we've done a lot a lot of day trips for the last couple of weeks, which I've loved so much. But this is our first weekend back at home, and so we're just like back into our normal weekend routine. Like, going to church tomorrow, and like I said at the beginning of the week, last week I got super clear on all the next action steps within our business that's really going to move the steps forward. And now that we're super clear on that, just actioning it throughout the week, which I'm really excited for. What about you?
Yeah, just getting back into routine and really enjoying living on the coast here. Going to make more effort to speak to family this week, I think. Give a few people a call. Catch up with some friends at home. That always makes me feel better. So that's the thing, intentionally doing things that make you feel better. I know speaking to family back home makes me feel better. But I know that 2, 3, 4 weeks can pass and I'd be like, oh fuck, I haven't made time for it. Because time just passes anyway. Time doesn't give a shit if you're organised. Time doesn't give a shit if you meant to do it. Time only cares if you actually do it. Like, these things only happen if you put them into your schedule. So the same with calling home. So I'm going to be like, cool, tonight I'm going to phone home. And then put it in my calendar or set a reminder and actually phone home.
That's so nice.
Amazing. Thank you so much for listening in or watching. And if you enjoyed this, something people do is share this podcast with their partner. Both of you listen to it and then come together and actually have a conversation about it. I think that's so, so powerful to build the intimacy in your relationship and have more things to talk about. So get that done. And if you have any more questions, because we do a Q&A podcast every few weeks, so send questions to us on Instagram. That'll be tagged below. And have an awesome week.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. All your support really does make a difference, and we do really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you in the next podcast.